Namaste and welcome to Beginner Yoga. My name is Marissa Segundo, and today we're going to practice an easy practice that will incorporate hips and neck lengthening and really just put you in a state of relaxation and connection with your body and meditation and motion. So we start each practice with the first Yoga Sutra, Atha Yoga Anushasanam. So join me by placing your hands at heart center and inhale to prepare. Atha Yoga Anushasanam. Please join me in the sound and vibration of Om. Inhaling to prepare. And just allow that Om to reverberate throughout your body. With your hands still at heart center, take a moment to connect with the world around you. Maybe making an intention for your practice, for your life, or for this moment. Hold that intention in your heart and then clear it from your mind as you either leave your hands at heart center or draw them along your sides, connecting thumb and forefinger. If you need your energies to be up, you can place your thumb and forefinger up. If you need them to be down, you can place them down and just gently rest them on your knees. Just take this time to let go. Allow the outside world to exist outside as you focus specifically on this moment, on the movement of your body, the rhythm of your natural breath. And just invite any outside distractions to just fade away. Watching your breath, noticing how it comes in and out naturally without changing it. Invite your forehead to soften. Eyes to close gently or to remain focused on one single point. Invite your top jaw to separate from your bottom jaw and your tongue to hang loose in your mouth. If you haven't begun to do so naturally, beginning yogic breath, breathing in through your nose, allowing that air to travel deep into your belly, expanding your belly with air. As you exhale, gently collapsing your belly, allowing that air to travel up and gently out your nostrils. If you want to make your breath audible with a Ujjayi breath, making an ocean breath, now would be a good time to do that. Breathing more into the back of your throat, but still in and out through your nostrils. Creating the sound of the ocean. And feeling your belly expand and contract, expanding as you inhale, contracting as you exhale. Just inviting waves of relaxation to start at the very tip of your spine and gently travel down to the base of your spine as you practice your mindful breathing. Breathing is one of the most essential parts of our yoga practice, the part that connects us fully with the world around us and allows us to focus in this space, allows our body and muscles to relax. Just allow those waves of relaxation to travel down your spine, down your legs, and out your toes. And then repeat that again. Then on your next inhale, lengthening the spine, rolling the shoulders back and down, just grounding into the earth. And on your next exhale, allow the chin to travel down toward your chest, that lengthening the spine and the back of the neck. Maybe gently pressing into your knees with the palms of your hands, gently pressing the shoulders down to really find that length. In your next inhale, gently travel the chin up to the sky, allowing the crown of the head to fall backward. If you want to lengthen this, you can place the bottom lip over the top lip. Exhale and drawing the chin back to center. On your next inhale, realign. And as you exhale, allow the right ear to hover over the right shoulder. You're going to place the right hand over the left ear. You can just avoid the temptation of pull or tug. Just add that little bit of weight. Your next inhale, gently remove your hand from the top of the head. Exhale and allow the left ear to hover over the left shoulder. Repeat whatever motion you did with your top hand on the opposite side. Really check in with your neck, and if you need to stay here for a little bit longer, you can do that. Releasing your hands from the top of your head. And we'll allow our neck to actually just hang forward a little bit. And we'll take our gaze and our nose and allow it to look downward and to the right hand side. So now you should start to feel this a little bit in the side neck. You can invite your eyes to go all the way to the right hand side as well. And then exhale and bring it down to the center. So still chin is hanging forward. And then we'll turn to the left hand side. Really trying to lengthen the side of the neck. Sometimes it's hard to get into this spot. Making sure that your shoulders are squared, that your shoulders didn't travel over with your chest or with your neck. We want to have those parallel with your chest. So we're really just focusing on the neck. And then when you're ready, we'll roll the chin back down, inhaling it back to center. Exhale all the way back up to the sky again. We'll do the same motion, but now we're going to look to the side and kind of at a diagonal towards the ceiling. So it's a weird position. Think about the opposite that you did when you were looking at the earth, but now do that looking at the sky. You'll get into a weird spot of your neck that you don't always engage in your daily activities. Maybe if you're looking for something in a weird place. And then when you're ready, looking back up to the sky again. Do the same thing the opposite way. And then back to center. We'll place our hands at heart center. Inhale to clasp hands up, a little bit of a back bend. Exhale, circling the arms around. When we get our arms about shoulder height, we'll pause there in a T. We'll place our hands on our shoulders, on our shoulder caps, and just start to make some circles. A lot of times when we're feeling tension in our neck, we're actually feeling it more in our upper back. So it's important to engage the upper back just as much as engaging the neck. So really feel the shoulder blades come together when you're going towards the back. And when you bring your elbows to the front, notice I've changed directions now, making sure we're taking care of both sides. Then we want to, when our elbows are forward, we're separating the shoulder blades. When they're towards the back, our shoulder blades come together. So opposite direction that you started. It may feel better to do that, to put your hands on your shoulders, or you may just want to do arm circles out to the side. So decide what works for you. If you're doing arm circles, that'll actually help you to build arm strength. A little bit subtle, but noticeable. Either way, circling in both directions. And we'll come back to center, hands to center. A very subtle twist you can do is just leave your hands in Anjali Mudra or Namaste, and we'll turn just the upper trunk of the body towards the left-hand side. So it's a little upper body twist. Make sure that you're taking care to press your hands together. That's going to help to offer a little bit more stability. Same with your lower body, just pressing into the sits bones, pressing into the knees towards the earth. Nice long spine so you really get that twist. Come back to center and twist to the opposite side. Notice how you're really just focusing on twisting the upper body. A lot of times we spend more time twisting the lower body and get into the lower back. We're just working down our backs from our neck. Pressing into your clasped hands. And then back to center. Placing the hands, and if you need to switch which foot is in front, you can do that at any time. We're going to place the hands on the knees and just do some sitting cats and cows. So we'll lengthen our hands. Imagine that you're grabbing onto your knees, lengthening your arms, and the last thing you're going to round is your spine. When you do that, you'll bring your gaze down to your belly button. You'll imagine that you're just going to fall backwards. The only thing holding you up is grabbing your knees. Take a couple of deep belly breaths here, especially if you look at your belly a little bit. You can see the inflation and exhalation. And then inhale, shoulder blades come together, heart comes forward, shoulder blades just gradually coming together. You may want to even come onto your fingertips if that feels good. Sitting cow pose. The belly should be nice and full, and you can inhale very deeply and fill the belly up. And as you exhale, you'll find the sitting cat pose. So this is something too, if you practice chair yoga during the day and you want to just take a break in the middle of your workday and place your feet flat on the earth. And then find your inhale for your seated cow pose. If you have a chair that has arms, you could just place your hands on the arms of the chair. So I'm just mimicking that here. And then you can, same thing, maybe your arms aren't that long, or you don't have that much space. If you're doing this on your office chair, you're going to want to scoot your bum close to the edge of the chair so you can make sure you really have enough space to really round the spine. This is key, these two motions that we find in the cat and cow pose. You can hold them as long as you want. Same thing, if you're doing this in a chair, you're doing it on the floor. You can also find Sufi circles, just circling all the way around, getting into all the edges of your mid back. And once you go one direction, make sure you go the opposite direction. Building a little bit of heat here. You can also opt to bring the soles of your feet together and find your Sufi circles with your feet at Baddha Konasana or bound angle. Maybe a little early in your practice for that, but you decide what works for you. Sometimes it's a little bit more challenging to do your rotations in such a wide stretch. All right. So if we just leave our feet in Baddha Konasana and our hands at heart center. And feel free, and if you need any support for your knees, sometimes especially early in the practice, that's a little bit much on your knees, or if you have any knee issues, you can do that. So placing the hands at heart center and actively pressing the palms together as if you're pushing one palm away from the other, connecting with your breath. And just, I don't know if you can see this, I'm just gently bouncing my butterfly wings here in our butterfly pose. So my knees are just kind of going up and down, and you can do this, flutter your butterfly wings as quickly or as slow and mindfully as your body's feeling today. Just gently opening the hips. All right. So you can either leave your feet in Baddha Konasana, just allowing your hips to just gently open up a little bit more, or you can put your feet back in Sukhasana or the seated posture. Nice long spine here. We'll take our right palm up towards the ceiling. Exhale and bow down to the left hand side. Inhale up to the sky. Flip that down. Inhale now with the left hand and flip down to the opposite side. Really feel that all the way through the side body. I don't think I held it long enough on the other side, so if you need to hold one side a little bit longer, feel free. Inhale all the way up to the sky. Placing the hands at heart center. We'll bring the soles of the feet flat on the earth and just lengthen the spine and do some very easy windshield wipers. Allow the knees to fall from one side to the other. If you want to stay on one side for a minute, maybe cross an ankle over, you can do that. Just take your time, very slowly, focusing on the hips. Windshield wipers is another thing you can do throughout the day. Find a place on the floor, or maybe before you even get up out of bed, just bring the soles of your feet to your bed and just shift your hips from side to side. A lot of yoga twists and engagements we do while we're sleeping, whether we realize it or not. So sometimes you wake up in a very twisted position because your body is fully relaxed and able to go deeply into that posture. We'll leave the soles of the feet flat on the earth, nice long spine, placing our hands on our knees. One thing I want you to make sure is that your knees are aligned with your hips. And if that is an issue, or you need to strengthen that, you can place a block right in between your knees and press firmly into the block to hold this up. So this is what we're going to do to engage our core kind of early in our practice, but it won't be too much. So we'll place our palms up towards the sky, nice long arms, and we're just basically in, it's kind of a hat, like a, what would this be, a quarter boat pose because our feet are down. If we were in a half boat pose, we would be here. But since it's early in our practice, I want you to just gently engage your core. Nice long spine. Remember, we're not rounding at this point. We have a nice long spine. And just kind of lower yourself down, not too much. Just so you can be in a position that your spine is long, palms are up towards the sky, alignment with the knees. And if you need a little bit more of a core engagement, you can kind of bounce your arms a little. My feet are still on the ground, but if you want to engage the obliques, you can row your boat. Or you could bring your hands to heart center and do that asana twist we were doing. Not the asana, the namaste twist with your hands at heart center. So just getting a little bit of engagement. Focusing on the core when you have back or hip issues is really important, because a lot of that comes from compensations or injuries that you have because you're not focused on your core. When your core is not strong, we tend to be more subject to injury. All right, so then we're going to just lengthen our legs along on the mat. Still long spine. Place our hands up over our head. I've interlocked my fingers except for my pinky finger. I'm just going to draw a circle around my feet. So now you should feel this in kind of the mid back area, a little bit in the upper back. The feet are flexed and engaged, legs are strong. If this is too much on your hamstrings, you can bend your knees just a little bit. I know it's hard to see since I'm wearing black pants and it's nighttime. So I don't know if you noticed, but I changed direction. So if you haven't changed directions, go ahead and do that. So make sure you take care of the yin and the yang. Inhale our arms over our head and swoop them back to the earth. Nice strong legs. And then let's just get one more set of windshield wipers in here before we get off the mat. Actually, let's do one more thing on the mat. So we're lengthening our legs long in front of us. And I want you to go ahead and cross your left leg over the right leg and flex both feet. And then bow forward a little bit. We're just going to see how this extends our hamstring. Notice if you like this. You're not feeling anything, you can bring the sole of your foot down and then also lengthen it. See how that connects to the lower back. Maybe extending the psoas just a little bit. And unraveling the feet. And unravel back this time. Right over left. So I'm just kind of stacking my ankles a little bit before I bow forward. And then if you need a little bit more, you can just place the sole of the right foot down and lengthen forward. Strong with the left foot, keep that flex so you make sure that the lower body is engaged. Inhale up, unraveling the feet. Then we'll swoop our feet around and come onto hands and knees. Just for a moment, we won't stay here very long. Find a nice long spine. Make sure you don't have any dips or bends in the spine. I want to make sure that our knees are just below our hips. Fingers are spread wide apart and active. On your next inhale, we'll melt the heart forward, draw the shoulder blades together. Last thing that comes up is the crown of the head for cow pose. Exhale, round the spine. Allow the head to hang forward, shake it from side to side. Inhale, melt the heart forward. Exhale and round the spine. Inhale, melt the heart forward. Exhale, around the spine. And this time, just go ahead and melt all the way down into a child's pose, extended child's pose. So the fingers will be spread wide apart. Nice long spine. Feel your weight shift to the back of the body. Feel the lightness of your fingers, shoulder blades coming together. When you're ready, we'll shift our weight forward. So we're kind of in a yoga push-up turned cobra pose. So we just shifted the heart completely forward. And if a cobra is too much for you right now, and you'd rather be in baby cobra, you can do that. Then from here, we'll tuck our toes. Press into a plank pose. So pressing into your ankles and maybe just start to walk your plank. Until we walk our plank all the way up into a downward facing dog. And try to draw the feet, the heels down.
but meeting yourself where you're at. If your heels are all the way up here, then that's where they're at right now. Maybe you want to elevate yourself up onto some blocks or kind of find a pool noodle. Maybe you want to do this on the wall. Decide what works for you until you can find that length in your hamstrings, which comes with time. Then eventually this downward facing dog will be your favorite posture. Connecting with your breath. Then we're going to shift forward again into a plank and lowering down onto our knees, chest, and chin. Inhale for cobra. Tucking the toes. Exhale. Downward facing dog. You can stay here as long or as short as you'd like. Eventually, we're going to walk our feet in between our hands. You can also jump them if that feels good for you. And then when you're ready, we'll elevate our hands up to the sky, circling our arms around, and place them heart center. All right, we'll find ourselves at the top of our mat. And we'll just spend a moment crossing our right foot over the left foot. So now the right pinky toe and the left pinky toe are juxtaposed. So they're one right next to the other. This is kind of a weird position, so you may find that it's a little bit hard to balance. Then we're just going to bow forward. And if this is too much of a balance or whatever, you can find a wall or something for support. You can also bend your knees a little bit. In fact, I'd actually recommend bending your knees a little bit because then you can really connect with the lengthening that you should have in your hamstrings and actually in the lower back. Should feel really good, especially if you have tightness in your legs. And when you're ready, elevating the arms up to the sky and back down to heart center. So do the same thing on the opposite side, crossing the left. So the left foot is the leader now. It's on top, right on the bottom. And then just swan diving forward, bending the knees a little bit. You have to kind of position your feet. If you have blocks, put your hands on blocks. I have this little stool thing, so I'm going to hold on to that just to show you how you can interact with your environment. This should feel really good. So if you're finding yourself tight in the middle of a day, it may feel good to do this. Making sure that you're conscious of how warm your body is. Now we're a little bit more warm than we were when we started. And reverse swan dive. Inhale to heart center. I'm just going to walk out my feet. We'll do a couple of sun salutations. So placing your hands at heart center. Inhale the clasped hands up to the sky, little back bend. Exhale, swan dive forward. Hands to the legs, flat back extension. Exhale, hands on either side of the feet, jumping back with the right foot, followed by the left. Finding yourself in a plank pose, pressing into the ankles. Then lowering down knees, chest, and chin, or chaturanga. Inhale for cobra. Tucking toes. Exhale. Downward facing dog. Jumping forward with the left foot. Now you may want to use your left arm, kind of hook it and drag it forward until you get the core strength to pull it forward. Take the back foot, hop it to meet the front, reverse swan dive. Exhale and hands to heart center. Spend a moment here to just kind of twist. And as we're doing our twists, we're taking the back of our hands and just slapping our kidneys, engaging our digestive system. Okay. Placing our hands at heart center once again. Inhale the clasped hands up. little back bend. Exhale, swan dive forward. Hands to the legs, flat back extension.
Exhale, hands on either side of the feet, jumping back with the left foot, followed by the right. Lower down, knees, chest, and chin, or chaturanga. Inhale for cobra. Tuck in the toes. Exhale, downward facing dog. Jumping forward with the right foot. And remember, if you need to hook and kind of drag that forward, go for it. Followed by the left. Reverse swan dive. Exhale and hands to heart center. Do that same kidney slap thing. All right. Placing the hands at heart center. Inhale, clasp hands up, little back bend. Exhale, swan dive forward. Hands to the legs, flat back extension. Exhale, hands on either side of the feet, jumping back with the right foot. Leaving the left foot forward. We're going to jump the right foot over to the right hand side of the mat. Inhale the arms up, circle them behind us, and just grab opposite elbows behind you. While you're here, just go ahead and make sure that your front leg is aligned with the left ankle. Create that 90-degree angle. And just pause here for open heart. If you want to have your arms over your head, you can. You can also bring your hands to your side if that feels good. And leaving our arms down, we're going to shift our lower body and find ourselves in warrior two. You're going to probably hop your feet so your front ankle or heel, that's the heel, kind of just, you can draw a line from your front heel, it could fit into your back arch of your foot. So sometimes it's good to do this with your hands on your hips because you're not so focused on the weight of having your hands up in the air. You can also make sure that your shoulders are aligned with your hips, which is really important. In a warrior two, you want your shoulders to be aligned with your hips. Now you're really engaging. You're feeling this all the way through the upper thigh and the lower back. So we'll shift this back. Probably need to hop the foot a little bit over to the right hand side. If you feel like lengthening the front foot and bowing forward for a pyramid pose, you can do that. Or you can just bend the front knee and meet us in a high lunge. Before we hop the left foot to meet the right, lowering down knees, chest, and chin. Inhale for cobra. Tuck in the toes. Exhale, downward facing dog. Jumping forward to the right foot. Left foot's going to pivot down behind you. If you need to take a minute here while you're still in the high lunge to go ahead and kind of get some mobility moving forward and back, figuring out where your balance points are, using your toes and fingers to grab the mat. Do that before you kind of come up, place the hands. I think we started with our arms behind us, bending the front knee, really sinking into your warrior one. Switch sides. So realigning as I switch side, making sure the hips are forward. I mentioned you put your hands on your hips. And even if you're in a class, now we're switching to warrior two, so if you need to opposite or move your back foot, you can. So you have that nice long line there, or diagonal line. So if you're in a class and everyone else has their hands up, but you really want to put your hands on your hips, give yourself permission to do that. You're in a non-judgmental space when you're on your yoga mat. So you should never be afraid to modify your practice no matter where you're at, whether it's in your living room or in a classroom. So we'll shift back to warrior one. We'll lengthen our front foot. Grab your mat with your toes before you bow forward for your pyramid pose. I like to put my arms behind me or hands in prayer position That way I can make sure that my heart is open and I really get the benefits of a heart opener that pyramid provides. Also want to make sure you're not over extending the front foot, or that's a knee, your front knee. And then when you're ready, coming back up. We bent the knee and placed our hands on the earth, pivoting the back left foot and hop it to meet the front. If you just want to hang for a moment in Uttanasana, you can. Really haven't spent much time in our friend Uttanasana or forward fold. You can grab opposite elbows and swing from side to side. Whatever feels right to you. And then reverse swan dive. Up to the sky and hands to heart center. All right. So we'll find our final balance. So you can either find a wall that's close by and place your hand on the wall, or you can, if you want to back into a wall and just allow that to hold your weight, or you can have a balance without unassisted. So we'll just find, I'm just going to find a typical tree pose. So if we can start by bringing the right heel just above the left ankle. This is an option. You can put your hands at heart center. This is still a balance, especially if you've got issues with balance. I want to make sure that the left leg has a little bit of mobility, that we're not over tightening or straightening that. And if that feels good, you can stay there. If you want to bring the sole of the right foot just kind of flat on, just below the knee, not on the knee. Or you can bring it above the knee, or you can tuck it right here, which is my favorite, mainly just because my foot slips. I'm still bending my straight leg just a little bit, so I can make sure that I'm using my core to stay up here and not my leg strength. And then you decide when it's time to come down. You can extend your branches or whatever you'd like to do with your tree, or you can just take your time and mindfully come back down. And walk your ankles out. I think this is something that often gets overlooked in a home practice, that you are taking your entire body weight and kind of putting it on one ankle. So that is a transition. So once again, placing your hands on heart center. I forgot to talk about the dristi, or the balance point you'll want to have in front of you. So go ahead and find a balance point that doesn't move. Place your foot either right above your heel, right below your knee, right above your knee, or my personal favorite, where it's tucked by the hip. Connecting with your breath. When you're ready, very slowly deciding when it's time to come down. The other benefit while we're walking on our feet or still enjoying our balance, the other benefit of not growing your branches or having your arms over your head in a balance is that you can spend the time focused on your lower body balance, and you don't have to be so concerned about the wobbly tree with your hands in the air. So all considerations and tips and tricks as you fall more deeply in love with your yoga practice. When you're ready, we'll find ourselves at the edge of our mat or wherever you're at. Circle our arms up to the sky, circle the arms behind us, bend the knees. Find yourself in a chair pose. And you can share cha-cha if you like. I don't have cha-cha music, but you can make it in your head. And circling down, extending your arms forward, jumping your feet apart. Nice long spine. taking a moment here. This is like the most basic hip stretch that you can do. But for a lot of people, a simple squat isn't, it may not be a comfortable position. So you can think about rolling your mat up a little bit underneath you. Let's see if I can get this to happen. Underneath your ankle to give yourself a little bit of ankle support until you can really lengthen the muscles in the back of the calf. Stay here as long as it's comfortable. And then when you're ready to come down onto the mat, give yourself the core strength to lower mindfully. So now we started with this practice in a, what was a half boat pose. Now we'd like to find a real boat pose, or at least a half boat pose. So nice long spine. So remember, long means we don't round or draw the heart forward too much. Just nice neutral spine. Lower tips of our toes. I think sometimes it's helpful to do this a couple of ways. If you want to start by just focusing on drawing your shoulder blades together and really supporting your legs as they journey upward, sometimes that's an easier way to find half boat pose or Ardha Navasana. You can put your palms up towards the ceiling. You can also just keep your hands behind your knees if that feels right to you. Make sure your head's loose and you're not straining your neck. If you want to find full boat pose, you can. You're going to lower yourself down using your core all the way down. You can do that. Or you can just plop because you deserve it. You spent a good yoga practice. So let's just bring the soles of our feet up towards the sky. Just do some individual ankle circles starting on the right hand side. And if you want to kind of do this one leg at a time and interlock your fingers behind your right leg as you circle, and interlock your fingers, your left leg. You can also do this with a block underneath your sits bones, which is also extremely comfortable and takes any pressure off your lower back. And if you want to use your core to do some connected ankle circles on the sky, you can do that. Circling one direction, we need to circle the opposite direction. Allow our feet to be placed on the earth. Once again, if you have a block and you want to place that right between your knees, now would be a good time to do that. We want to make sure that our heels are aligned with our hips, not wider, not closer. We want to make sure that our hips are also aligned with our shoulders. So we're creating this Shavasana, Tadasana alignment that we create in our yoga practice. I also challenge you to put your elbows on the mat on either side of you. Fingers spread wide apart and active. What is this going to do? We're going to press into our elbows and very slowly we're going to rock our hips forward and back. Forward towards your face, away from your face. Should feel kind of good. Massaging your lower back. Creating a little bit of core strength. But when you elevate your hips just slightly, press into your elbows. Make sure the knees don't splay out to the side or come too close together. And if you have that block between your knees, just go ahead and squeeze it. Now that's going to create all of this great energy that happens and strength that happens on the inner thighs. Once again, pressing into the elbows, fingers spread wide apart. So once you feel good, moving forward and back, eventually just start to elevate the hips. and find a little mini bridge pose. You can also take another block and place it right under here. Sorry, I don't have the visuals. Once again, if you're seeing your knees splay out to the side, you are subjecting yourself to potential injury. When you're ready, coming back down. Now, by doing a bridge pose by pressing into your elbows, you're also protecting your lower back. I say this as someone who's practiced yoga for the past 20 years, almost 20 years. The only injury I've ever had is in a bridge pose, when I pushed myself a little bit too far and I didn't, and I messed my back up. So it's a with my beginner class, my beginner students, I'm always very cautious of a bridge pose to do this assisted, to take your time to come down when you're ready and sometimes before you're ready. So if you want to find another bridge pose, or if you want to just prepare for Shavasana, all of these options are open to you. So once again, if you opted for another bridge pose, just press into your elbows, watching what's happening. So our heart's open, but our Jalaharavanda is not open. It's kind of closed off. So all of our energy is going to the lower body right now. Okay, then lowering yourself down. Draw the knees into the chest. Give them a hug. Maybe do some circles. And then reverse some directions. And eventually we're going to find ourselves in Shavasana, or if there's any final yoga posture that you need to complete your practice, whether it's happy baby pose or a lower body twist, which we actually didn't do. So if you want to take a lower body twist, you can draw the right knee in towards the chest and just shift it over to the left hand side. Maybe hopping the hip over a little bit. Let's just spend a moment in the lower body twist. You can adjust your hips accordingly if you want your top knee to be on the earth, or you can also use that same block that you had to support your upper leg. So you want to make sure that your shoulders or shoulder blades are connecting with the mat. Taking your time in your twist. Twists are a really good spot to kind of work things out. We're connecting with our internally in spaces that we normally don't in our regular isolated activities and movements. And then when we're ready, we can unravel our twist. I'm going to do those lower back massage again. Do that. Then we'll change our twist to the opposite side. Make any adjustments. Our gaze will be opposite our knees, so we can really focus on the lower body twist. And when you're ready, we'll unravel. And now we'll find ourselves in Shavasana. So nice length on the mat. If you want to put a bolster or a pillow underneath your knees to elevate them slightly, you can. You can put a lavender eye pillow over your eyes or a blanket to keep in the heat that you've created during this yoga practice. Palms are up to the sky to invite all the beautiful energy around us that you've created during this yoga practice. That energy enters in our hands and enters in the soles of our feet. the crown of our head, making us fully connected with the energy around us, contributing to it, and being part of it. I'm going to wake myself up, but just take your time coming out. Very slowly starting to bring your body back to full awareness, wiggling your fingers, wiggling your toes, touching your thumb to each finger one at a time, connecting with the energies of earth, air, fire, and water. Sa, sa, na, na. Stretching your arms long above your head, and your legs long in front of you. Stretching your energies from fingertips to tips of toes. And gently drawing your knees into your chest and giving them a hug. Rocking side to side or in a circle, massaging your lower back. Now when you're ready, allow your knees to fall over to the right hand side, resting there for a moment in the fetal position. Our final resting posture is called Shavasana, or corpse pose, where we allow any unwanted thoughts, feelings, or energies to die in this posture. In this fetal position, we are reborn, ready to lead a new life of mindfulness, awareness of our body, breath, and all of the beautiful energy around us. And with a nice long spine and hands at heart center, I invite you to join me as we seal this practice as we began with the sound and vibration of Om. Inhaling to prepare. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. May your mind be open. May your words be mindful. May your heart be open and abundant with love. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me.